Hello and happy Friday the 13th, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Friday the 13th doesn't mean that it's unlucky. And I would imagine, and I cannot wait to get into what Fuzzy and the missus are doing tonight for, of course, their podcast celebrating Friday the 13th. Hopefully, they'll be talking about maybe Jason Voorhees coming back in a big way. We will certainly see. But, folks, we're happy to have you here. Good morning. Thank you so much for taking the time to show up. I know that there was a hiccup. I tell you, I've had a week. Let me just say that. But here we are. It's 10 o'clock as always, and I did put the show together super late last night. And you know what? Before we even get into the show, there are two things I want to talk about regarding yesterday's X Vlog Live. The first thing I want to talk about is how amazing Sir X-Men was. This guy showed up in a big way. I needed a co-host. He showed up. He dropped his knowledge. The guy's an OG like me. He's definitely in the Gray Beard Club. But when I lost my power, and of course, obviously, I got bumped offline, he took over the show like a paraprofessional. So, of course, I want to thank him for stepping up in a big way for the 9 or 10 minutes that I was waiting for my power to turn back on. And, well, he did an amazing job. And again, he is paraprofessional. Second half of that is I want to offer an apologies for yesterday, or for an apology, I should say, for yesterday. The start of the show, my mic had got switched. I normally check every time now. Yesterday, I was a bit out of sorts, and it just wasn't one of my best shows. I will say that. And I know it's Friday, but I still feel a bit out of sorts. The last weekend was crazy, and it was just nonstop running. And of course, there's no excuse for it, but again, if you enjoyed the show, thank you very much for checking out. If you didn't, I get it. It wasn't the best of shows that I've ever done for sure. But we have a great show for you today. And you know what? As you saw by the title, breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. According to InsiderGaming.com, the first-party Xbox handheld, according to their sources, has essentially been canceled. And they're not the only ones reporting on this. And you know what? Canceled might be a strong word because it was never announced. Now, granted, Phil Spencer did come out and say they want to make their own handheld. They are working on it. And you know what? I don't know if it was cost effective for them to do their own handheld versus partnering with a handheld manufacturer like ROG. And maybe that's the route they went. But the second half of that conversation is going to be, is it a big deal if you're playing an Xbox that's made by ROG or Lenovo or Alienware in regards to your handheld? The answer is, I don't think so. Xbox is going to support it with Play Anywhere. They're going to support it with Xbox Game Pass. You're going to be able to play all of your games. And you know what? That's another thing that seems to be running rampant with this community is every time Xbox does something, the micromanaging that goes on to try and poo-poo it or shit on it, so to speak, is, I got to say, folks, there are some people in this community that we don't do the names thing here, folks, because that's not how we roll. But I got to tell you, folks, they should all be working for Cirque du Soleil because, my God, the mental gymnastics that is going on with trying to downplay what this device is. And you got to remember, this is just the first device out of the gate. I mean, for Christ's sake, it's not even out. And we're hearing, and you know something? I got to tell you, folks, if you ever wanted to know who to block, stay on social media, on Twitter specifically, for about 15 minutes. But I mean, that's all you might be able to take. And the raging that's going on over this device is to the point of, I have concerns for people's mental stability. Like, it's freaky out there. That the weird energy that's going off with some people, you should stay away from them. I can assure you, I'm ex-law enforcement. I can tell you, put those people on mute, block them, don't talk to them. You know, don't feed the trolls, folks. Don't do it. But, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into a lot of really fun topics. And of course, I haven't had a chance to talk with Crispy or Fuzzy over there about the showcase. What was their favorite part? That will be the back end of the show. I know that, you know, you've heard me talk about that throughout the week, but, you know, it was the best showcase of the summer so far. And you know what? You don't got to believe me. Just go to the polls. Go to Jeff Keighley's polls. That's right. Jeff Keighley does a poll for everything. And well, Xbox has won again, and that's not surprising. That's the third year in a row. And you know what? This has been one heck of a year for Xbox. But before we get into the topics, I want to welcome everybody here. We got almost 200 people here. Thank you so much for checking out the show. Crispy Bomb, my brother from another. You know what? You always seem to show up when the crispy truth has to be given, like medicine. Even though they don't want to take it, you give it to them. How you doing, brother? Good morning.
Great to be here as usual. Of course, in the home away from home, as is Breakfast with Boom. And yeah, I think there's a lot of stands that have lost their critical thinking, and they
Yes.
are just spewing uneducated nonsense all over the place to try to downplay a handheld that is what we've been talking about. Is a PC hybrid that is using a UI, which we all know Microsoft is a software company, so they're going to do their best. And now we're going to get into what I think about this cancellation, or not really cancellation, I guess, just maybe taking a step back. So we'll get into it.
We absolutely will. And, a part of the conversation, or at least the handheld conversation, I got to bring up Demo Flow Gaming. He put out a tweet 22 hours ago, and I got to tell you, man, it's brilliant. It's brilliant because it does destroy all of the narratives. And it's funny. You have Xbox Fuzzy Belvedere doing amazing things now and certainly in the future. They just had an incredible a 9 out of 10 showcase, following up, which was very hard to do, a 12 out of 10 showcase from last year. Their roadmap is incredibly long and deep. Pause. And we know that there are games coming out second half of 2026. You know something? I'm writing an original piece for Tuesday's Xbox Factor podcast, because when you consider what 2026 is going to be for Xbox, again, forget the fact that you're celebrating a bunch of anniversaries with Gears, with Halo, with the platform itself. First party is so loaded, it almost seems a bit unfair. And I know there was, this big Sony financial thing that came out. They said they're guaranteeing one AAA banger per year, and it's going to be that story-driven narrative, game that we all know and love. And I love those games, but one per year? Yikes. I don't know. That's not the same Sony. They seem a little bit, lacking in certain areas. But Fuzzy Belvedere, good morning, kind sir. I know you had some little vacation time with the family. Great to have you back, man.
Oh, glad to be back. Glad to be here with you and Crispy, and finally get to talk about the Xbox showcase and the ROG Xbox Ally and Ally X. And yeah, just I've peeked on social media. There's just way too much energy to shoot down this device that they didn't seem to have that energy for a Steam Deck, or the regular ROG Ally, or the Legion Go, or MSI Claw, or any of the other handhelds. But the Xbox One, that's heresy, because it can play PlayStation games. But maybe PlayStation will block the games. Good luck at that one. But anyway, yeah, we got a lot to talk about, and it's going to be a fun one. Looking forward to it. So let's do this.
Well, you know what, gentlemen? Let's open up with the lead topic of today's podcast, and that comes to us from insidergaming.com. It was written by Mike Straw yesterday, June 12th, 2025, and it's titled First Party Xbox Handheld Essentially Canceled. It's being claimed. Now, according to the article, it says this: Microsoft seems to be content with not putting out its own Xbox handheld console. According to a new report, Microsoft has essentially canceled the first-party Xbox handheld. The article goes on to say, at the end of May, it was reported that Microsoft decided to, quote-unquote, sideline the development of its in-house handheld system. Now, just a couple of weeks later, according to the article, The Verge's Tom Warren is reporting that the Xbox handheld doesn't appear to be happening at all. And this is a direct quote, literally, from Tom Warren of The Verge. He says, I've heard from insiders that it's essentially canceled as the company focuses on the Xbox new software platform, Warren writes. I still think we'll see next gen Xbox hardware from Microsoft, but I also strongly believe we'll see multi devices from PC makers like Asus that will also be considered next generation Xbox consoles. Now, those are considered OEM development, and OEM development is something that is going to happen. And we've talked about this. And you know what? We've all hypothetically talked about it. But the next Xbox, I would imagine that next generation Xbox is going to be made by Microsoft. How many are those going to be made? I don't know. But at the same time, and if this is the open source box that we think it's going to be based on just the handheld specs already, this next Xbox could be made for individual customers. Meaning, like, let's say, for instance, the next Xbox is $700. You go to the store, your Best Buy, your Target, your Walmart, your GameStop, you buy your console, you go home, you take pictures with it, you play your games, you're happy. Well, what if you are a non-PC person like me, and you don't want that $700 box? You want a $1,500 box. Well, something like Alienware or Lenovo or Legion or any of your manufacturers out there, specifically ROG, could say, hey, listen, we have 3 types of Xbox. We have the standard, we have the medium one, and we got this big boy right here. This one is $1,399. But it has every bell and whistle you could possibly have. It's rocking a 5090 card, and it's basically a PC, except it's not. It's an Xbox. You don't got to tinker with it. We build it for you. We ship it to you. You go. Merry Christmas. I think that's ultimately the goal, is to allow for the next console to be more and very much PC-like. But for people like me who do not want that kind of PC experience, simply want the box underneath the TV experience, that's going to be available. And I think that is exactly what he's talking about. But let me continue with the article before we bring Crispy Bomb in on the conversation. It says this: speaking of Asus or Asus, the company recently revealed its Asus ROG Xbox Ally and Xbox Ally X handheld consoles as part of the Xbox Game Showcase on June 8th. The new handheld is built with an Asus framework, but features Xbox branding in the form of its controls and its operating system. That operating system, while still Windows, is a lighter version of the software to make it easier for pick up and play gaming for users. Right, this guy right here. It goes on to say Xbox's next-gen mainline console, the follow-up to the Xbox Series X and S, is expected to come by 2027 at the earliest. Microsoft has yet to respond to Insider Gaming's request for comment on the report that there is no longer developing a first-party Xbox handheld console. Should a response be received, it will be added to the story. Crispy Bomb, let's bring you in on the conversation. And you know what? Again, it was never announced officially. So I understand that there is going to be a stark difference between it being canceled or development stopping on what they were working on. Again, maybe the deal with Asus and ROG was a better deal. They already make hardware. So Xbox is a software company. They partner up. They invest into ROG. They help develop this thing, and they put it out. And again, you got to remember, these are just the first 2 consoles of what I believe is going to be many handheld gaming consoles. And again, you could see some from Alienware. You could see something from Legion Go or Lenovo or one of the other handheld makers. Let's get your thoughts on the quote unquote cancellation. And the second half of the I want to propose this question to the chat as well as to you: is does it matter who makes the next handheld as long as it acts like an Xbox?
Well, when I saw the reveal, which I loved the music, by the way, because it gave you like this like Xbox is inevitable, and it was like dun dun dun, like, you know what I mean? And it's one of those things, like you look at it, and I didn't expect it to look as good as it does, and to have so many features that like an Xbox controller has. I thought that was brilliant. And I think, as far as what they are thinking is that if a company like Asus is able to produce this, and we're able to back end the software, which is, you know, I think a few weeks ago we really went in deep about what we really want from a device like this. And I think the device itself having that capability of ease of use for somebody like me or yourself, that really just a PC is used for podcasting and maybe some search engines or doing something, you know, simple. And I don't download games to it. I mean, I'm, you know, like I could figure out how to get a cloud gaming working on it, but you know, I have a simple Surface laptop. It's nothing special. So you look at the way a lot of these devices work, and it's like, okay, download this driver and download this, and you know, have to update that. And if they can eliminate, I'm not saying they're going to eliminate all of it, but it seems like they are going to back end it better. And if they're working on, you got to work on the software first in this case, if you're going to have it seamless, like where Steam just kind of integrates in there in a way, and you could just boot up your games without having to do a bunch of, you know, swapping. And then like the simple but tactile buttons that they showed on that are just incredible. So, you know, as far as canceling, I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want to, like, if the launch is 2026 or 27, you don't want to put out, because this thing could, I mean, the Ally X could be $800. I mean, we don't, you know, that's a substantial amount of money to spend. And then to come out a year or two later with your own dedicated, you know, device, and, you know, it be all Xbox branded, when realistically it's going to be probably similar to what Asus is already done with this. So, you know, you say maybe you go to a follow-up one 5 to 6 years later, and, you know, they work out all the kinks of what they're doing with this ease of use software. And that would be probably a more logical investment, instead of, you know, kind of, I would say, stepping on Asus right out the gate a couple of years later. It wouldn't make sense. And, you know, just think about it. They probably saw the response, because I mean, I've looked at multiple people that have played it, reviewed it, and they go and say, well, people like this, so let's keep going with it. Let's make it better and better, because it's taken a long time for the UI and everything else to be worked on, even on the Xbox itself. But it seems to be like ramping up. And then you have, you know, the software in the actual development of games, the amount of games that are coming out, and having the ability to, you know, if you want to buy it on Steam, if you want to have it through Game Pass, if you want to do this, to have a device that's able to do that seamlessly without a bunch of hoopla and unnecessary stuff that I don't want to deal with, I think is it's just going to be, I think it's going to sell out really fast, even if it's a higher price, because there is some, I'm not a technical guy, but I haven't heard of some of the stuff that's in there. So, you know, they're going for it. And, you know, I think it would be kind of stupid to a year or two later to just, you know, come out with your own and kind of step on all of this. You know what I mean? Because you got something going. Why don't you just run with it? Just run with it right now. See how it goes. I mean, you know, all these consoles and devices and everything else. I mean, this one has an appeal that is a little bit different than like a Steam Deck or something like that, or even the original Asus. It has a different appeal, has an appeal to at least somewhat of a console feel. And I think that's going to be important for people like myself and yourself.
Well, I mean, one of the things I found it very interesting is, you know, during the play days, Fuzzy Belvedere, and again, we're gonna segue into another topic about, you know, people complaining about what this thing can't do rather than what it can. But supposedly, and again, folks, this is I'll find who actually said it. He's from Easy Allies. Now, I know that's a very popular YouTube channel. I've never watched them personally. But apparently, in the same room, Gears of War Reloaded was running on a PlayStation 5 Pro, and this thing was actually running it better. So I don't know. We were certainly going to see what this thing could do, but we got to get into we're going to segue into a second topic after we just get into the opening salvo regarding its so-called cancellation or being pushed back or being postponed, however you want to put it. But Fuzzy Belvedere, let's bring you in on that, because again, It was not officially announced, but Phil Spencer did get out there and talk about them wanting to make their own handheld. I think Crispy brings up a magnificent point, Fuzzy, in the fact that if this thing comes out, let's say October, right? I'm thinking fall, right? We don't know exactly when, but fall. Let's just say fall. It could be September through December. I think it's going to get close to the holiday for obvious reasons, of course. And then, next year or the year after, Xbox launches their own. Now they're eating the lunch of their partners. And I think, again, I don't think it's a problem having an Xbox device made by someone else. And I really do think that when you consider the one thing I have to say about Microsoft as a business, and I don't know the inside baseball, folks. I'm just basically telling you what has happened. They got super skittish about hardware, and peripherals after the Kinect 2, right? For the Xbox One, that kind of spooked them, right? Phil the liar, they're getting to VR, and he's like, yeah, VR isn't selling so well. We're going to deep six that. And they deep six VR, and they never went back to it. And this handheld thing, well, there's a lot of handhelds out there, but if you have a dedicated handheld partner like ROG, that makes perfect sense to say, you know what? We're not going to do our own. One, because we don't want to eat the lunch of our partners. And we have someone that we're partnered with that's going to make the thing, that knows exactly how to make the hardware. We're going to come in on the back end, and we're going to do all the innards. We're going to give you the software. We're going to give you the Xbox UI. We're going to add everything to make this thing an Xbox. You're going to make it an Xbox by giving us the hardware. It's a win-win. So ultimately, the cancellation, let's get into it, but does it matter that it's made by somebody else? What are your thoughts, man?
Well, I look back at Project Scarlet and remember all the rumors circled around Lockhart being canceled, and we know how that ended up. I'm not giving any weight to the cancellation aspect of it, just for the fact that those same articles or their same outlets were saying that Lockhart was canceled. I don't know if anybody remembers that. It was supposed to be 2 consoles, and then it was like, oh no, the other one was canceled. And then, I think it was what's his name? I forget the guy's name now that unveiled it. Brad Sams or something like that. And then that's when they had the whole to do about releasing the info on Lockhart or Series S, sooner than they anticipated. But whether they make it or not, that aspect of it doesn't matter as much. Although there is one thing I do have to say to Microsoft, and I hope they're listening. The key thing that will make this a smooth, easy to sell device is go ahead and update the console UI where you can have your full library listing and have Play Anywhere as a selectable choice. The minute they do that, you'll see how many games, either through Game Pass that you own, games with gold, or other, what do they have as well? I guess ones through subscription like Ubisoft and stuff.
Yeah.
You'll be able to see what you'll be able to play on this device, and they'll start to make a lot more sense, because I think the key thing people are hung up on is, well, it doesn't play the legacy console games. But there's a good bit of legacy console games that are Play Anywhere. But you won't know that as far as from your own library until they add that filter. The minute they add that filter, it'll shut up a lot of the noise, as well as it'll comfort a lot of those that may have 600 plus games like I do. You'll see exactly how many would be able to play on this device. And when you see that, 400 out of the 600 I own play on that, okay, only 380 of them have cross progression or something along those lines. So, those other 20 or 40 or whatever, you'll have to get new achievements if you play it on that device. But I think there's too much weight on this cancellation aspect of it, just for the fact that we haven't even gotten the other device in hand. Sure, there's been some early in hand or hands-on previews and things like that, but I think it'll all start to make a lot more sense when these are in the hands of the customers or in the hands of the Xbox gamers. And at that point, when they're able to sideload or easily access the stuff that they own on Steam, or all the free games that they got through Epic, or some of the free games that they may have gotten through GOG, or maybe they bought a lot of the other like Witcher games through GOG, since that's like Cyber or CD Projekt Red's, store type of deal. Maybe they'll start to see, oh, this plays everything I own, or it can access everything I own except for maybe Nintendo games, until maybe Nintendo starts to put some stuff on Steam. But all in all, but then again, with it being a PC, and I'm not going to condone piracy, but there are ROMs available out there for those that know what they're doing to be able to get those on the PC handhelds as well. So you could have literally a device that can play PlayStation, Nintendo, Sega, Steam, Epic, everything basically on one device. If this is what I think it is, and based on the specs, based on what they're doing to the Windows 11, I guess background, this should be an easy device for a lot of Xbox fans that have, maybe some PC games, or may have downloaded stuff from Epic, or redeemed the stuff at Epic that was for free, as well as having a good bit of a lot of the modern games. Like, I would say out of every game that releases, I would say probably 7 out of 10 are play anywhere, or at least it seems that way more recently. If it's an Xbox Studio, it's 100% of play anywhere when it comes to Xbox Studios, whether it's anything new from Activision, anything new from Bethesda, anything new from Blizzard. All of that stuff is becoming play anywhere. The drawback is on the older stuff that's being updated, like your Diablos and stuff like that. You may not have Diablo does have cross progression, but things like Deathloop don't have cross progression and stuff. But the cancellation won't matter if you have something like the ROG Ally or Xbox Ally readily available. It allows Xbox at that point to finite or refine the actual UI, refine the actual experience. Like, the biggest drawback on these PC handhelds that are not Steam based is that it is a bit clunky. It isn't optimized for battery usage. It isn't optimized for power output. So you don't get, you only get like a couple of hours worth of battery life. With this, it seems like it's going to be more like the way Steam is, where a game that's less intensive, like something like a Tetris, for example, you should be able to play that for 8 to 10 hours.
Even like a Silk Song, for instance,
Right.
It's 2D. It's not taxing on the battery. You probably be able to play that for 12 hours on that thing.
Exactly. But something like Cyberpunk, 4 hours,
maybe 4, give or take.
You're pushing it. But then again, that's if you want ray tracing, and that's again if you want all the bells and whistles. Keep in mind it's a 1080 screen. But for those that are concerned about that 1080 screen, or the smaller visuals for the on-device side of setup, when you're looking at it on device, 720 looks awesome. It may not look awesome on a 4K TV, but when you go and put it on a 4K TV, you can up it as far as the output, depending on the hub that you buy. Like the hub from Valve for the Steam Deck does a pretty good job. If you look at the way the Switch is operated, that hub is definitely pushing the limits of what even the Switch 2 can do. So it really comes down to this device being better positioned for the consumer. And I think if they do decide, we don't need to make our own device, that's perfectly fine. All they need to do is just make the set-top box that allows the Steam library that this device will be able to access accessible on that console. And I think everybody will be happy. But key thing that Microsoft or Xbox needs to do right now, make it so when I look on my console on my full library, I can filter out the games that are play anywhere. And the minute that I can do that, I can see exactly the number of games I'll be able to download and play day one on that ROG Xbox Ally. So that's my 2 cents.
No, and it's a fantastic 2 cents. So, gentlemen, I want to segue into some of the conversation of what this thing can't do. Right now, playing games natively, especially for your current games, and everything is starting to come out as play anywhere. Right, everything is going to be cross save, cross play, cross progression, everything. You'll be able to play. If it's on Game Pass, you can play it. If there's a lot of ways that this thing is going to play your games. Now, some of the nitpicking I've seen go on is you can't play OG games and some of the Xbox 360 games natively, right? Natively meaning that you can download them to the hard drive in this thing, and depending on which one you get, will be how much you can store on this thing. Obviously, I believe that the black model, which is the one that I'm buying, the X, is going to have 1 terabyte of storage. Yes, please. The lower one, I think it's 500 gigs. I mean, is that enough? I don't know. That's not the one I'm buying. But Demo Flow Gaming put out a tweet that I think is brilliant, and it's very pointed, and it does bring up a lot. I think it's a narrative crusher, in my opinion. And the thing that I think, again, I don't get annoyed at this stuff, folks. I find it incredibly amusing, and most of the times, I feel really sorry for some of the people that really take this stuff so serious that they got to write, college essay papers on Twitter to try and get their point across. It's really not that serious, folks. If you don't like Xbox, stop talking about Xbox. I don't know. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't. But I got to tell you, for people that really hate this brand, all they seem to be able to do is talk about Xbox. It, to me, is just, it's that weird energy, man. I don't get it. This world there's so much to do. Just go do something else. If you hate Xbox, I hear you. Hate the box, hate the company, hate Phil Spencer, hate Xbox players. Us bots, we're just a bunch of knuckleheads anyway. So what? But it's crazy. But I do want to bring up this tweet from Demo Flow Gaming. It's at Chico Cash on Twitter. And this is what he has to say, Crispy Bomb. The Asus ROG Ally Xbox, the Asus ROG Xbox Ally is not considered an Xbox because it can't play your older Xbox library natively. And what he talks about specifically, the OG Xbox and some of the Xbox 360 games. He says, but the PlayStation 5 is considered a PlayStation, even though it's unable to play PS1, PS2, and PS3 games natively. Sony's PlayStation fanboy logic 101. And yep, I think it's a narrative crushing tweet. I think it does. And again, this is the thing that kind of just baffles me a little bit. Instead of celebrating that you are going to be able to take your Xbox games that you currently have on Xbox Game Pass, which is all of their first party, and you can play and download those games right to this thing. You'll be able to pick it up, play it, come home, shut it off, pick up your Xbox, go. From there, you want to go up to your room and you play on your PC, go. And everything is going to run seamlessly. Somehow, that kind of behind the curtain magic is unimportant. You know why it's unimportant, Crispy? Because you can't play a game from 2008 that 8 people bought. To me, this is the kind of stuff that's just, it is mind-numbing. It really is. Like, I don't understand. You do not see this kind of weird energy going towards Sony when the fact that they will only have one major first-party IP banger, if you will, released this year, probably one next year. I mean, they just literally said the goal is to have one AAA bomb per year, but they're going to double and triple down on gas games. Well, the 10 that they canceled in 3 years, that didn't work out too good for them. And I think that, Fair Games is the next cancellation and studio closure. And it's not looking good for Marathon, but there is no one talking about that. Everyone wants to talk about how Xbox is dead. They're getting out of the console business. And, well, this handheld is a bust. Crispy, could you make sense of this, brother? I know you got to have some sort of a crispy truth rant to kind of get the juices flowing with this one, because it to me is just weird energy.
Weird is not even, it's an understatement, because they talk out of both sides of their mouth. They don't clearly do research on their own preferred console. They say, oh, Xbox can't, it's not an Xbox because of that, but that's been that way. I mean, you haven't been able to play PS1, PS2, or PS3 games for how long? Okay, like it goes through a whole process on the back end because of what they did in developing those consoles back then. Okay, like it was even a problem for the PS3. The reason why they didn't have a game lineup like they used to. Okay, and that really put a stank on the PlayStation 3 era, and that's why it took so long for them to catch up. So I just, you know, and there's a bunch of other narratives going around about this. At the end of the day, Microsoft already told you they want any device that is able to, you know, that's going to allow Xbox Game Pass, the UI, the app, whatever. They want that to be considered a gaming device that they are supporting, because at the end of the day, they're supporting that back end software, and they're going to continue to do it. And I think there's a lot of stupidity when it comes to when you do this or that. And then we talk about, oh, you know, Sony closing studios, Sony canceling games, all this stuff. It lasts like 3 days. And then everybody's on to Xbox at that point.
Yes.
You're talking about Xbox doing something that seemed impossible at certain moments. 10 years ago, you said I could pick up my Xbox, play here, then I can go to this new device, play here, then I can go to my computer, play here. Shoot, there's plenty of games that I could go on my mobile phone and play here and have all this cross progression, cross everything. Yeah, it's going to take a little time. They're still working on it, but they continue to add more and more, and they announce it and they let people know. And I agree with Fuzzy. They do need to do that play anywhere thing with the filter and all that. You know, these are things that they need to work on. Hopefully they're listening seriously, because that's a pretty simple thing if you think about it. But
yeah, I agree.
It probably could take a day for all we know. You know what I mean? You know, so you look at that, you know, and you say, why are we always mad at what Xbox is doing? Okay, like, yes, there's a point in time where you could have a legitimate argument and say releasing games on PlayStation. That is one that I could see people getting mad about. Okay, but at the same time, a lot of these games are older. Okay, and then they're pushing Game Pass. That's what they're doing. They want you to be in the ecosystem. They want you to have a reason to want to be on Xbox. And that comes down to actually releasing games, because you could say what you want, and we did have a drought. But right now, reading so good, I don't know what to play. I got a beta to play later. Okay. Like, and I'm going to be playing that beta the whole weekend, the next 2 weekends, you know? So all the games that are on, you know, sitting there, Doom, the Dark Age, all those games, no, they're going to be sitting there. Cause you know, I got to get the feel of the game. And it does look, it looks like it plays different, because I've watched some people jump in on that test yesterday. So I'm one of those competitive Gears players. Like, I love playing Gears, but at the same time, we have all these other games, and I'm paying. I mean, I bought the Ultimate Edition. I got a code. I'm about to just send it to somebody because I already have it on Game Pass and everything. And I'm not getting rid of Game Pass, you know? And I think we are at a point where it's so hard for them to find anything to really have a legitimate argument against, that now they're jumping through hoops. It becomes Circus Olay, like you said, and they are just trying everything to poo-poo Xbox. And all extensive purposes, they just feel like they've lost something, because now some of these exclusives will be able to be played on this Ally X. And I think it hurt their soul, because all of the receipts I have, you mother truckers, I'm going to tell you, y'all better shut up, because I got so many damn receipts. My phone's screaming at me. I got to delete them. Like, so it's hilarious. And it's also sad, like you said. And I hope, don't fall into it. Don't fall into the stupid arguments. Say your point, say you're wrong, and move on, because they will just sit there and they will argue with you for the stupidest stuff. Half the time, there's sock accounts that, you know, have one follower and they just opened it. Like, always look at their page. If they got 0 followers or you know, less than 100, they probably just made it just to troll people, and that's what they do. And they're going to continue to do it until they finally give up, which who knows when that's actually going to happen.
Well, if they hold their breath, they're going to be DOA, because they're going to be fighting and kicking and screaming until they make you. You know, it's funny. You know that GIF that people have out there where it's the stick people and it's 3 panels, and it's when someone the one yelling is the PlayStation hat, and the people that are playing are Xbox people, and it's like at the end of it, stop having fun. That's really what it is. Like I honestly look. I understand that there are, and I consistently say this because what I'm afraid of is I don't want a PlayStation gamer to be wrapped up into this, right? There are PlayStation gamers that don't give a hootenanny, folks, about console wars. And they're PlayStation gamers because that's their console of choice. Doesn't make them a pony or a terrible community member. They normally do not even get on social media. They're playing their PlayStation because that's what they've played since they were kids. Those are gamers, and they can live in their own lane. And usually, these are the people that buy 2 or 3 games a year. When the new Madden comes out, they trade in last year's Madden because they're still physical. Are some of them digital? Sure, right? Because digital is the big thing. But PlayStation gamers are way different than the toxic troll MFers. And unfortunately, those toxic troll MFers are the loudest on the socials. You know, Fuzzy, I want to bring you in, but I want to quote Mav. Now, Mav, of course, is from Front Speculation. I consider Mav like an extended part of my family. I love that man. His family's amazing. I'm so glad that he's back. He took some time off to, recharge his batteries, figure some stuff out, and he's back. We put out a post yesterday that has to do with this a bit, but also just a general consensus about the Xbox hate that's nauseating. He says most PlayStation fanboys' stupid narratives against Xbox now seem to be against how accessible and affordable the Xbox ecosystem is. I guess I'd be bitter too if I was so limited with access to my games and had to pay so much more to play everything that's available everywhere else. And I really think that is at the center or the crux of this conversation we're going to have before we move on to topic number 2 of the show. And that is, again, the narratives around this particular handheld on what it can't do are just, I think that these people are just ice skating uphill. Like, I honestly don't get, instead of let's focus on what this thing can do. Right now in Xbox Game Pass, they say that there's 500 plus games. I believe that there's more than that. As a matter of fact, I don't have the tweet in front of me. I'm going to look for it. Stallion, if you don't know who he is, he's that's the guy that was the first to 1 million. And that guy's gamer score is ridiculous. He did a post the other day. I almost had no choice but to repost it and thank him for it. I think it was almost 1,000 games that you're going to be able to play on this thing. And he posted it. I'm going to find it and repost it. He listed all of the games. I don't know how he did it. This must have taken a week. And he posted it out there, and it's nearly 1,000. Could you imagine if you buy this handheld and you play it, and there's 1,000 games available to you, but you're going to complain about the game from 2009 that you got at Burger King for $5 you couldn't play? What world are we living in here, folks? Again, I say if you see people on the interwebs, just so you can clean up your timeline, this is my personal advice to you. And I don't do the names thing here because I don't need that smoke, right? Mute and block and move on. You do not need these people in your feed. Do not feed the trolls, folks. Do not even interact with them. My dad used to say, put people on a pay no mind list. And that's what I do on a regular basis. Let's get your thoughts on the fact that there is more complaining about what this thing can't do, and it's not even out, versus what it can do, Fuzzy Belvedere.
Yeah, I could take this holier than thou approach as like, hey, I thought we were all gamers, and this actually allows you to play games, and that should be a positive thing. But in the reality, I know people are going to be stuck in their console war ways, and console war can be fun at times, but when it goes to the extent of the only reason why they're pointing out what it can't do is because the key thing it can do is play the PlayStation games from Steam. And I think that has a certain segment of the gamer community feeling a certain way, to the point where they're not quite losing their minds, but the insecurity is showing full measure at this point. So I look at it as, if you're so focused on what it can't do, do you focus on the car you buy that it can't outrun, maybe the fastest car out there, or it doesn't get the greatest gas mileage compare to other cars out there, or it may not be able to do the same battery range as other electric cars? Like, I think people buy things for either use or, others, definitely we buy things for necessity. But when it comes to something that's not a necessity that you buy it to either have fun or for entertainment or some form of enjoyment. So if this device isn't for you, then why talk about it? Like, it's not like somebody's forcing you to buy it. It's not like, hey, every time you turn around, there's a salesman, throwing it in your face. No, it's like, if you're in the Xbox ecosystem, maybe this isn't for you. Maybe any of the PC handhelds, whether it's the Steam device or the Steam Deck or the one that comes with it, the Steam OS loaded on it from Legion, I don't know. Maybe those aren't for you. Maybe handheld devices in general aren't for you. Maybe you don't even consider the Switch 2, because of it being a portable gaming device, it may not be your bag. Something under the TV is all you want. You don't want a PC, for example. Like, some people are all about playing games on PC and would not even look twice at something that's a portable PC. But to me, it seems kind of silly because you're not going to want to lug your PC around. But then again, I guess if you take vacation, you're not going to want to play games, because that's the whole purpose of a vacation. For me, when there's downtime during the vacation, because you go to a location, spend time with your spouse. All right, there's going to be other times when you're not spending time with your spouse, or your spouse might be asleep at that point, and it's like, hey, you know what? Watch TV, or I could play on this handheld. Whatever the case may be. But it just feels like people are so against Xbox in general. Like, they could have come up with, this box for free, and people would still complain. Why are they giving this away? That's a clear sign that it's terrible. It's like, well, they charge a premium price. Oh, that's too much. They're overcharging for it. It's like, is the sky blue? No, it's orange because the sun is coming up. And it's like, they can't find any joy in anything, it seems. It's like, why even bother being on social media to talk about gaming if you just want to argue over nonsense? There's plenty of nonsense out there in the world to argue over. Gaming is not one of those things, or at least I don't see it as such. But I don't know. I just, for the things that it can't do versus the things that it can do, is what appeals to me. The things that it can do is play my Play Anywhere library. Right. And whatever I don't have as Play Anywhere, because I'm a knucklehead, I guess, because I bought Mad Max on PS4, on Xbox One, and I bought it on Steam. So it doesn't matter. I can play it at some point on that device, because I can access my Steam library. So I guess I'm covered. But then again, I don't think many people are going to buy the same game multiple times, other than maybe Grand Theft Auto. But there's a handful of games that I know are not going to be, Play Anywhere, because of the publisher isn't going to allow that. But the majority of the new games releasing on Xbox are Play Anywhere. Like, I was surprised at how many of the Square Enix and Sega games that are Play Anywhere. And with those finally coming to the platform, having that added feature means that if you bought them now, you can play them on this device. But that's the stuff that matters to me. Like, the new games, the newer games. Sure, I want to go back and play the classics, but I don't hear anybody complaining that you can't buy Super Mario Brothers or Super Mario Brothers 2 or 3. You have to play that on a subscription on your Switch 2. I bought a Switch 2, but I don't hear not a one person complain that you can't buy those. Right. Or that you have to get it through a subscription. So if you're going to complain about Game Pass games being like having to be streamed or something like that to access maybe some of the older ones, then what are we doing? Yeah. It's the same thing you can do on PlayStation with some of the, I guess, the premium tier with some of the older games. But, it feels like people want to nitpick for the sake of nitpick. But I look at it as this is a device that's not for everyone. But for those that it is for, it's going to be, I wouldn't say a game changer, because they probably already have a ROG Ally or Legion Go or MSI Claw or Steam Deck to some extent. But if they don't, and this is their big toe in the water of the PC space, and they get a hub so they can connect it to their TV, just like you kind of Switch. I think that will be the game-changing, eye-opening, moment for those gamers. And at that point, you'll see what a lot of us that have been playing with these various different devices and playing things on phones and PCs and consoles have been talking about, and why it's so, I guess, I wouldn't say exhilarating, but it's freeing, that knowing that you can take your game with you or play it in any other room of your house without having to restart a save and things along those lines. But that's just me.
I mean, and again, this is the thing. Like, this is the device that's coming out of the gate, right? If you think that they're not already working on everything being playable on this thing, as it would be a PC, then you're small-minded, and you're not really reading the room, and I don't think you actually want to. I think people are coming after this thing because Xbox players are now going to be moving into a PC level realm with the convenience of console. Right, and that's again, this is just the first device of what I believe is going to be many OEM devices, and it's going to start with handheld, and it's going to work its way into the next generation console, which we know that they're full steam ahead on. Right, that's been confirmed. They're working on the console. That console is going to come out in 27, and again, that there could be some shenanigans with whether or not it's fiscal 27 or actually 2027. We'll have to see how that plays out, because again, next year is going to be a big year for Xbox. And man, on top of the games they have releasing, on top of everything that we know is coming out for first party, and their list the deck is stacked. If they had a new controller like the Elite V3 and a console to come out in the same year that they're celebrating the 25th anniversary, that would be something. But again, 2027 it's going to be, then that's what it's going to be. But this is going to be and again, you said it perfectly, Fuzzy. It's not for everyone for a lot of reasons. One, it's going to price some people out. This thing is probably going to be $800. I would not be surprised. Now, is that too much? Well, that's entirely up to you. Is that too much for me? It is not. I will find a way. I have a ROG Ally 1. I'll sell it privately, and there you go. I'm buying this console, and I'm getting the X version. Now, what I love about it, and because I'm not a PC head, this thing is going to everything I hate about PC has been stripped away. It's going to act like an Xbox in my hand. Yes, please. So I'm good. Am I going to be concerned that I can't play a game from 2011? Not really. If you are, then don't buy it. What can I tell you? Maybe PC is your thing. Well, there you go. Maybe PlayStation's your thing. There you go. You go and enjoy yourself. Everything's my thing. I own everything, and I'm happy to do it. I will own this, and I will enjoy the H out of it. But listen, I want to catch up on super chats. We have 6 of them in here, including a channel member chat, and we're going to get into the second topic of the show. So let me get to that over here. First super chat of the day comes in of Ian Glenn. Ian, great to see you here, brother. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on a Friday morning. And of course, thank you very much for the very generous $5 super chat. He says, "What's up, Boom? I just need Xbox to make all games I purchased and Game Pass games play anywhere." And I can tell you, look, I had such an amazing time this past weekend where I really got a chance to hang out with Aaron Greenberg and the best beard in the business, in Jason Ronald. We know that Jason Ronald is the VP of Next Gen. We know that he's working on the console, but he's also a big part of what's going on with the handheld. And I mean, there's a lot of things I can't tell you because they were private conversations, but I can assure you that the team that is working on that is actually working on it. Again, this thing is going to come out. It's going to have over 1,000 games to play, and they're eventually going to get to a place where everything is playable. And I mean everything. How long does that take? Well, I don't know because I'm not making this thing, but I would imagine that everyone's complaints or, the haters who are just hating, complaining about, I can't play a game from 2011. I got a Burger King. I'm mad. Okay, be mad. What can I tell you? That's the thing. You get on the socials and these people are just writing these epilogues like someone's going to give a shit. Like no one cares that you're angry, and no one does. I don't understand. That's why I said, folks, let these people expose themselves. Pause and just block them. Just block them and mute them. Put them on the pain of mind list. Trust me when I tell you, clean up your timeline, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to be very happy with it. But let me continue. Ian, thanks so much for being here, brother. Elemental Pio drops a very generous $5 super chat. He goes on to say, some of the community seem to think you can buy an existing ally and then just update it with the UI. The Xbox Ally X is a custom and exclusive UI right now, and he is correct. Look, they partnered with ROG. This is an Xbox. They want people to buy this. ROG wants you to buy it. That's why this UI is exclusive to these two handhelds. Will it eventually be on all handhelds? I would think so, right? I mean, they want you to play Xbox anywhere, so maybe it does. But for right now, as it's been explained to me, this UI that you saw running, that's snappy and quick and looks like an Xbox and acts like an Xbox, is exclusive to this device and the two versions of it. That makes sense. They're trying to sell hardware. If you want it, buy it. If you hate it, buy it and make a video of you hitting it with a hammer. I don't know what to tell you. It's again, that weird energy. Hate is just, man, it's just this Xbox hate is just head scratching, man. I get people don't like Xbox. I mean, show me on the doll where they touched you. Show me on the please. I will help you out. I'll get you some help. Figure it out, folks. Tim the Sorcerer, who's been a channel member for 35 months. Tim, that is very generous of you. Thank you so much for the ridiculous kind of support. That's damn near 1 month away from 3 years. He says, awesome Friday show. Can't wait to pre-order the black Xbox ROG. Get most of my backlog on the one machine, LOL. Everyone have an amazing gaming weekend. Brother, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the support. And of course, yeah, see, that's it's funny. Like when you say it out loud, it's just funny. I have seen so many people triggered over this. I'll say this, as former law enforcement folks who is trained to understand and respond to someone with mental illness, folks, I'm here to tell you there is a lot of unchecked mental illness, because the people that are in their feelings over this, considering the way how serious things are in the world right now, you got to be bugged out, like straight up, man. Sit down on the couch, bro. Talk to somebody. Talk to a friend. Reach out. That's all I'm going to say. But Briscoe _Sun. Briscoe Sun, thank you so much for being here, brother. Super appreciate it. And of course, thank you very much for the generous $5 super chat. He goes on to say, this news confirms not leaving the console space or completely transitioning to PC, still Xbox, but the only way to truly be anywhere is the PC version. And again, this is ultimately what they're going to wind up going with. You're going to be able to play all the, and that's the thing. I saw somebody say something about, well, you can't play everything. Well, I mean, I don't know so much about that, because if a game releases on Xbox and is available on PC, I know it's not all games, but most of the games are dual entitlement, especially if they're on Xbox. So I mean, again, it's not all games, right? They do have to work that out with their partners and their publishers, where you buy one game and it's dual entitlement no matter everywhere. Some games have that. Actually, most games have that now, especially the newer games. Now, is that all games? It's not, but they're working on that, folks. I find it very disingenuous with this community, especially the people that are doing these rants and raves over this, about talking about what this thing can't do versus what it can do, and the fact that this will eventually have the ability to play everything. It's just weird. LeBurn98 drops a very generous $5 super chat. He goes on to say, the future is Windows plus Xbox UI plus Xbox PC, a backwards compatibility, available on every Windows capable device. The ROG Ally is just phase one. LeBurn, thank you so much for the generosity, and of course, a great point. That's phenomenal. We have Pissed in the chat. I got it right there, Pissed. Welcome as always. He has been a channel member for, almost 2 years. So thank you so much for the support. He says, good morning, all. You've been there for a second, but congrats on the 16K. Brother, that's very kind of you. Thank you so much. Keep up the great work. Enjoyed your coverage on the festivities, like always. Yeah, you know what? I I kind of felt like I came up short over the weekend. It wasn't because we weren't working. We were hanging out with the people. Sunday was a complete wash because, obviously I got there super early to help the team put the community showcase together with Hargeet, Ben, and the Ains and the rest of the crew. And that went off without a hitch. Like there was so many, like missteps leading up to it. I can't believe they got it off the ground, but they did such an amazing job. For me, I did not apply for the IGN play days or the Summer Game Show play days because originally we were going when Xbox canceled. I was like, yeah, we're saving for our first home. I'll save the $1,500. And then, of course, Hargeet Chani talked Kay Asante off the ledge. And then, of course, when Kay was falling, he grabbed me by my shirt and we both went. So there you go. But we did it, smartly because we shared a room and we shared expenses, so it wasn't as bad as the last time. But I didn't put in for anything, which is why my coverage was only is minimal. So I wasn't happy totally with the coverage, but I am happy that I was able to get some of the fan responses out there. So thank you so much for the kind words, brother. The Gamer Man in the chat, who's been a channel member for 14 months. Thank you so much for the outstanding support. He says, "Hi all. It was great. It was a great Xbox Summer Showcase. I gave it a 1,000 out of 1,000 because this Xbox Showcase was amazing. Hope you all enjoyed it too." Yeah, I enjoyed it. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I did have some small criticisms that Phil Spencer, in that Xbox podcast interview kind of talked about, where there was a reason why E-Day wasn't there and Forza and more specifically an update on Halo. That's because those 3 games are coming next year. The holy trinity of Xbox is going to be released on the 25th anniversary of the brand. I mean, I think that's brilliant. I get it. But to me, it was a solid 9 out of 10. Our generous friend, Gaming Treble in the chat. Welcome as always. And thank you very much for the very generous $5 super chat. He goes on to say, Tom Warren mentioned on X that the Xbox ROG Ally X is the precursor to the next generation hybrid console. Not only that, yes, he did say that, as a matter of fact. He said that in his article. Not only that, this will be complementary portable. Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's very safe to assume, even though, it has not been officially said by Xbox. Tom Warren, very smart, has a lot of connections. The guy knows his business. What we're going to be getting in a couple of months when this thing releases is just, and again, someone said it earlier, phase 1. The way this thing operates is exactly how the next generation console is. If people keep saying, why would I buy another Xbox console? Because you're technically buying a PC. You're buying a hybrid. And if you are a console guy like me, raise your hand in the chat if you're a console guy or gal, you're probably going to buy this thing. Because it's going to be under your box. This box is going to be under your TV. You're going to plug it in. You're going to go, right? But with this box, it is going to have the capabilities to get games from everywhere. Good Old Games, Epic Game Store, Steam, all of your own game library is going to be available at the touch of a button, and you're going to play. And you will even be able to play PlayStation 5 or 6 games on this thing. And I can tell you this right now. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, Sony's going to block it. Good luck telling Steam what to do. Because the minute they do that, Steam will tell them you can't put your games over here. And Gabe doesn't roll like that. He makes the decisions, not PlayStation. And if PlayStation wants to shoot themselves in the dick by blocking games to be played on an Xbox, that just goes to show you that their leadership and why Concord exists, or, well, formerly existed, because they don't know what the F they're doing. And I still don't think they know what they're doing over at Sony. But, I'm not a business analyst. Smokey, wow, brother, this is crazy. He has been a channel member for 51 months. It's very kind of you, brother. That generosity cannot be denied. Thank you so much for that. He said, I'm going to pay over 1,000, 1,000 Canadian for this handheld just so I chip away at my backlog while I'm sitting on the toilet. Who's with me? Brother, you ain't wrong about that. That is phenomenal. I love it. Nino Vestic, our generous friend all the way from Hawaii. Salute to you. Aloha to you and the family. Hopefully you're having a beautiful day there with the wonderful people and the incredible Blue Waters. He has gifted, ladies and gentlemen, 1 Double Barrel Gaming membership. Of course, he does this on a regular basis. We cannot thank you enough for that support. So thank you again. Gaming Treble drops an additional, very generous $2 super chat. He goes on to say, what if they undercut and release it for $5? You see, so here's the thing. Subsidizing hardware is something that has been going on for decades, right? They take a loss for the hardware, but they sell a bunch of software. Folks, I don't think that is happening any longer. I just don't, man. I mean, would that be dope for them to release the white one at 500, the black X version at 6? Oh, that would be amazing. I just don't think that's going to happen. Look, Keasante said this. I actually just put up a video where I cut down me, Keasante, and Hargi Chani's conversation regarding how they could cut down the price from primetime gaming. That went up. I think I put it up this morning. It was supposed to be up last night, but I'm an old man. I fell asleep. So it went up this morning. Check it out. It's a little long. It's about an hour and 5 minutes, but it's great conversation. Keasante made mention, and so did Hargeet as well, where Xbox could, forego charging the license fee for ROG, right? And that's how much of a substantial part per console? I don't know, but they could say, okay, hey, we're going to give you the license because we're partnered, right? ROG could do something about with chips. The chips that they're getting now are more. They're better than the chips in the original one, and they've cut down costs. So there's ways to do it. I just don't know how. Check out that video that went up. It is, again, I'm not the tech guy, but I could tell you who is, and that is Hargi Chani and Keasante. They know their tech, and it was a really, really good, enlightening type of conversation. Brando Fox in the chat drops not one but $2 super chats. So of course, Brando Fox, thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for the generosity. First super chat of $2. He says Xbox is Microsoft ROG Ally day one. I can't wait. Yeah, brother. I signed up for emails, which of course, if you go to ROG, there's a section for this thing where you can add your email. So when it becomes available for pre-order, they'll send you a notification. Definitely sign up for that. His second $2 super chat says Clockwork and Fable. I'm tapping the glass, waiting. Yeah, I mean, Fable's next year. Phil confirmed it. Clockwork, it's interesting, folks. I'm gonna die on this hill. Okay. At the end of that incredible trailer, which, by the way, Clockwork is just oozing with personality. Oh my God, I cannot wait to get into it. I'm going to throw this out there. I'm throwing it out to the universe. Now, whether or not the universe crashes into me and I burn, or they answer and that we're all going to win, I don't know. But I have a strong suspicion, chat and gentlemen, that is going to come the way of maybe, and again, this is just my thoughts and theories, folks, that the Xbox could do a little something out of turn and maybe do a developer direct at the end of the summer and give us a full release date for Clockwork. Again, folks, that's just my theory. I have not heard that at all. So if it comes true, make sure you clip me, someone clip this and put it on the socials that I said it first. I kind of want, that game looks really good and really done. And it did say in due time. They didn't specifically say, though, what due time. Is that due time in 25 or is that due time in 26? I don't know. But we got to get into the second topic. And again, thank you to all the super chats and the channel member chats and the gifted membership. We truly appreciate that. But let's pull up the notes over here. Let me go to the list and let's get into it. Oh, so look. I mean, again, the big conversation was the delay of the console. But the second topic is getting into the thoughts of these two gentlemen who I have not had a chance to talk to about the Xbox showcase. Some people thought it was amazing. Some people gave it 10 out of 10. I didn't think it was a 10 out of 10. I gave it a strong, solid 9. And again, it was because some things weren't there, and I don't want to be that guy like, oh, it wasn't. Oh, this amazing stuff was there, and how dare you? No, it deserved a 9 for the games that were there. Why I kind of shaved off a point is because I kind of wanted an update on some games. Like I really thought that we would get something Halo, and I understand why we didn't. But I would have loved, even if it was just a message from Halo Studios leadership, like, "Hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're working on. You know, we can't show you anything right now, but understand that we're hard at work." I mean, I know they're doing it, but again, I would have liked a few more first party games in there. I know that they have to represent their third party partners, which they did in a really big way. Game Pass again is loaded with a bunch of titles that are going to be in there. I know they have to have these things. I know they have to give us an update for, Fallout 76 and Sea of Thieves and ESO. I kind of think that they go on a little too long. Like the ESO one with the pets. That was a little bit long. You know what I'm saying? So again, if you like those games, you player need to see that, and they have to be there. I just think sometimes they go on a little bit long. That's just my take on it. So 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 is not bad. And again, by Keeley's own poll logic, right? Every time there's a show, he puts out the Keeley poll. Well, the Keeley poll revealed that the Xbox was the best show of the summer. Jez Corden wrote an article on Windows Central, I believe it was Jez, regarding Xbox winning the summer events again. Third time in a row, folks. Not a surprise. But you know what? Crispy Bomb, we haven't had a chance to talk. I do want to get into your thoughts and opinions about the Xbox Game Showcase because, again, I will say this. There is something really special about being in a room with 200 other gamers, and that's the size of the room that I was in, where you have the likes of, people in this chat, which is great. But, you have a lot of big personalities in here as well. You had King David he was just awesome. Cognito, doing what Cog does. Hip Hop Gamer. I mean, I love that man. I think he is such an incredible human outside of his persona on gaming. What he does for charity and who he teams up with. His catchphrase I absolutely love. Like, I have mine at the end of every show. He says all the time, your currency is your character. I think that is God tier brilliant. I really do. So I was hanging out with him and everybody was electric. And again, I know I say it, I'm getting goosebumps, folks, literally from the tips of my toes to the top of my head. It was electric in there. And you heard me. I almost lost my voice because of how loud I was screaming. Because you get wrapped up in this stuff. But again, watching it on the screen, if you're an Xbox fan, I don't know how you couldn't get excited. Crispy Bomb, let's get your thoughts on this showcase because I thought it was really, really strong, and I know that it was coming up against last year's 12 out of 10. Very hard to follow, but I think they did a solid job following up last year's showcase.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised at a lot. Obviously, I agree with you. Like, I almost feel like they need to, like, when they do updates on these games, maybe have a small little show just for that. Sea of Thieves, ESO, Fallout 76. There's other games. So at first I'm like, we're rolling along pretty good. Then you see Clockwork, and you're like, wow, that looks way better than I even imagined. Also, that time stuff is gonna be really interesting and something that, I mean, we've had it. Like, I remember the last time that I had a good one was like Prince of Persia, Warrior Within, I believe. There's or was the one before it, but it was one of the Prince of Persias that really did the time going back and forth time really good, but it also made your head spin at times because you didn't know exactly what to do. And this seems like more like boxed in, like it's going to be like one fleeting moment and then you switch it up and all of a sudden something's there that's not, and it gives you the ability to go somewhere that you might not have been able to. The weapons just look crazy cool. Even the weapons, like, when you're building them, like if that's like the way it's gonna look, like it just has like a snap to it. Like you're like, man, it's like I'm actually, it's going together. Like everything's coming together. Oh, look at this crazy steampunk gun I made. The shooting mechanics look great as well. And keep in mind, in Exile, I mean, been a long, they've been doing Wastelands. It's a totally different type of game. So, you could see their humor. You could see they've been cooking. I was at a 9. And I'm saying this, and then I went to a 9.5. And the reason why I went to a 9.5 is because they finally had Final Fantasy. Not my jam, but I know a lot of people that still either won't buy an Xbox or don't use their Xbox half as much because they can't play Final Fantasy, and that's their all-time favorite. They play it all the time. I know multiple people that are now probably looking at Xbox a little different just because of that. I just want to point out, I mean, if you really look at it, you could see all the work Phil has been doing in Japan with just the show. I mean, he really, he tried. I mean, you could see it now. It took a while, but this show really had a lot of different developers that we're not used to seeing, and even some dropping in Game Pass. So you look at that and you say, that's awesome. Ninja Gaiden 4, I can't wait for that. Like that little like freaking saw weapon he's got, all the blood and gore in that game. That
game looks visceral, bro. Like, I can't believe how much blood. It was gory as H.
So I still gotta, I'm good point in. I played like 10, 12 hours of Black, but I'm actually glad I didn't, because then it can get me a warm up when this actually comes out. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure they haven't changed much. You know what I mean? Like that fighting mechanic style is just crazy, and it's just so much fun. I guess one thing that was weird was the one more thing. Like it looked like a new IP. I was almost like, are they bringing Quantum Break back? Like I had that vibe.
I thought it was Splinter Cell. I thought it was what was the other spy game that came from Obsidian? Alpha Protocol. I was like, oh my god, is this Alpha Protocol? They're bringing it back, and it was yeah. A lot of people actually had an issue, Crispy, with it being Black Ops. I mean, they gotta show it. But the one more thing, I don't know. And
it also brings the point of making me think that, we might have something at the end of the summer, like September or something, because it did feel like a lot of the games were like more partners than anything. Like a lot of them showed really, really good. And I think that's the whole point. And also, like, I do appreciate there's not a lot of people like whining anymore about it. They told us it was going to say if it was going to be on PlayStation or not. That's what they did. They're not hiding it no more. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. Now, at the same time, like you look at the quality of games, and it was, I mean, even like Super Meat Boy 3D, like that looks like a fun little, little game that just, is gonna be pretty wild. I'm sure the girl will probably get into that one, definitely. And so I mean, who knows if that, I mean, this Black Ops looks like it might be a little different than people are used to, and I guess that would be a good thing, you know what I mean? Because they do, I mean, if they actually cooked for a year, you know what I mean? That would be pretty smart. But I wouldn't hold my breath, because that's a lot of money we're talking about, you know what I mean? So yeah, I felt it was good. It wasn't last year. Last year, I mean, they ended with E-Day. You're gonna get a 10 out of me when you do that as the one more thing. So yeah, it was a 9.5 to me. And I would say, I just love the pacing, just constantly games. The way they have the formula now, they really do. Like you can't complain about the way they push the games. Any speaking was very to the point. There was actually reason for it, especially, Sarah Bond talking about the ally and all these other things. Like it was very pointed. And, I think the future is just going to be insane. I think next year, I think they're really holding back a lot, because they really want next year to be a like megaton. Shout out to who. But yeah, I really 9.5, and it definitely, I mean, it leaves room for next year to be like another 12 out of 10, as Boom likes to say.
I love what you're putting down. I think you're onto something, and I do think that there could be that one more thing that has not been announced for 2025. Like I think that I'm sure that when we all thought that Grand Theft Auto 6 was releasing this year, things were moved around by all of the corporations, all of the platforms. They have to account for that, right? Nobody wants to get in front of that behemoth. It's a juggernaut. It's going to sell. I'm going to say this. I have a strong suspicion, and I don't think I'm. Listen, I'm no mathematician, folks, but I think this is a very easy pick. That Grand Theft Auto 6 makes $1 billion in 24 hours. I just think that's in the bag. It's Grand Theft Auto. That Grand Theft Auto 6 looks incredible. I freaking cannot wait. But I think again, when we first saw, and I have to revert back to Clockwork, right? When we first saw it in, what was it, 21? Was it that we saw it? Or yeah, maybe 2021. It looked really good then. And then, of course, this showing, I mean, Fuzzy, that looked like it was done, right? So I'm kind of wondering. I know that the trends for Xbox is January developer direct, February release, release. At least it started this year where we're getting a full, 12 months worth of releases, not everything loaded up at the end. And of course, October is for Xbox is bonkers, right? But there's still September, there's still November, there's still December. I think that if they want to buck the trend, so to speak, they could do a developer direct for something at the opening of the year, bookend it for the closure of the year, and release a game at the end that had a showcase to its own, that showed off at the June showcase, had a developer direct, and releases. I think Clockwork could be that, but again, that's just me spitballing. Before we get to your game, your thing or game of the show, Crispy, we'll come back around to that. I want to bring Fuzzy Belvedere in and get your thoughts on the actual event itself, like the Xbox Game Showcase. For me, it's a 9. Crispy gives it a 9.5. He's not wrong. I saw a lot of people in the chat giving it 9s. And again, if I saw some people like legitimately give it a 7.5, and then they broke down why they did, and I'm like, I can't even argue that. If that's what you believe, you're not wrong. What are your thoughts on the showcase, man?
Now I'm a little bit lower than you guys, but at 8.5, it's a solid B.
Solid score, yeah,
and solid showings. The reason for the 1.5 off is maybe a title or 2 titles that I was hoping would be there that didn't make an appearance, but I know they're still in good hands and will probably be full on 2026 releases unless somehow they surprise me at the end of the year with Forza Horizon 6. But that's the only reason why it's at an 8.5 as opposed to a 9.5 for me. But the key things, one, they showed the ROG Xbox Ally and Ally X. Been waiting to see what that was going to entail and how they were going to integrate the software, how much of a Windows 11 that they manipulate or optimize in comparison. So that was a big positive. And like Crispy said, having the Final Fantasies there, something that's been kind of like the carrot stick over our heads kind of deal for a while with this partnership or new workings between Xbox and Square Enix. It was great to see that those games made an appearance and that one of them was available right then that day kind of deal. So that's repairing that relationship, and hopefully the player base will partake in that, and moving forward we might see some growth between Xbox and Square, much like we've seen with Sega. And Sega's showing Persona 4, the remake or the revival. That was a nice one. But the big things that stood out for me, I mean, we'll probably get into this more when you get back to Crispy, but Clockwork Revolution, like
that showed, brother.
That showed above and beyond what even the first showing looked great. And we were like, oh, this looks ready. This looks polished. This looks nah. This made that look like Minecraft to some extent. But no, it looked awesome as far as like the characters, the lighting, the environment, the options they showed in more detail as far as the repercussions will sometimes happen instantly based on a conversation with a character. Like one guy just got axed right after we said something. So yeah, that's the highlight of the show, at least for me. Now there were also some other good highlights. Like we got to see some more of Chronos. Another one was Invincible's Versus. Now I know it's not going to be Marvel token or whatever, but that was awesome, and it's made by the people that did the original people that did Killer Instinct. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm looking forward to that and seeing what that winds up being. How many characters we get because there's a limited number of cast characters that they have in the Invincible.
I think there's going to be a lot of guest characters from that universe. Like I obviously, Invincible has a pretty stout roster of characters, but they got to have other characters. Again, they're showing Invincible, which again, I never watched the anime. I never watched the series on Amazon. I have it queued, ready to rock and roll. Yeah. And now after that game, and I said, my God, I read the comics.
Mm-hmm.
I just never. I was like, whatever. I'll get to it when I get to it. I'm doing other things. Now I'm like, I got to get to it because Demon, that looked amazing.
Yeah, and we don't get enough fighting games like that. It's great that fighting games are making this comeback, and I'm so glad we got something like that coming to our platform. Keeper, which we finally got to see Double Fine's game, or at least one of the projects, because we're under the assumption they're working on 3, so we got to finally see one of them, and it looks quirky like you would expect Double Fine, but it looks fun, and it's one of those games I'm looking forward to. High on Life 2, like it did extremely well in Game Pass the first go round, and I guess that gave them enough of a budget to have a part 2. So I'm glad that's actually making it into the service again. Indiana Jones, the DLC, glad that we at least got to see that. Although I was hoping to see the Starborn DLC for Starfield, but maybe at a later date, maybe that gets shown at Gamescom or at the what do you call it, the Game Awards or something. But all in all, solid show. Like Resonance,
which by the way, they fooled me. I thought that was Rise Son of Rome 2. God damn it.
Yeah. But with it being a spinoff of like a Plague's Tale kind of deal, looks awesome.
They got me good.
The Beast of Reincarnation, like, isn't that the one that's by not Pocket
That's by
Finger?
the Pokemon team, folks.
Yeah.
Yes, that is by the team that makes Pokemon. Yes, that game looks dope. Yes.
Like who knew that they had that in them? Like maybe they should break away from Nintendo and Pokemon to make more games like that. Like that looked amazing. Like a little bit of like Monster Hunter-ish look, but overall the visuals on that above and beyond what I was expecting. And there's a plenty of other smaller titles that they had there, but Outer Worlds 2, also another stunner for the show after the event and everything, and giving us more detail on the RPG aspects, the pros and cons on some of the buffs and whatnot that you'll be able to have, not just on weapons, but things like was it like taking hearts from people, and it gives you more life, but it also has like a negative effect, and just all of those types of weird things for that game I'm looking forward to. And then Call of Duty was kind of that weird surprise. Like I know, like you guys, like you said earlier, is it Quantum Break or what Future Soldier kind of thing is this? And yeah, it winds up being Black Ops 7, but look cool. We'll see how the story and everything plays out, but it's going to be in Game Pass day one, so it's worth the try. And I'm so glad that I can try it and not have to spend the 70 plus or potentially 80 to give it a go and stuff. But man, solid show. Didn't quite top last year, but I mean they could fluctuate year after every other year, having a 12 out of 10 type of show. And the way 2026 is stacking up, I think that'll be the case next year. But this is no show to downplay or throw away or anything like that. This was a solid show. We got to see what we're getting the remainder of this year and on into early next year. And now we can start speculating on what will be at the Dev Direct in January. But still an awesome show, and the best out of the non-E3 that we have today. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a great point of view. So again, I'm going to add some additional evidence to my thought and theories as to why I think there's going to be a developer direct. in the later half of this year. They have too many games, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not being facetious. So we're all speculating. Well, what could be in January? What could be the January Dev Direct? That's easy. That's Fable. Was delayed, right? It was delayed. We didn't have a release date, but it was coming this year, and it was delayed a couple of months ago. They're cooking. So if you add the development time, 3 months ago that delay was announced to where we are now in the year, 6 months left of the year, right? Start the new year, and then maybe February, March you release Fable, right? You got your developer direct, everyone's excited for it. Boom, you drop it. I'd even say you drop it in February, like with Avowed, right? But where does that leave Clockwork? Clockwork has got to have its own dev direct. Is how many dev directs per year can they have? I think they should have 3. I think they should bookend it and then have one in the middle. That's just my take on it, but I'm not running Xbox. But that's because they have so many games. So I really do think that Clockwork is this year. I think a dev direct happens. Again, I could be 1,000% wrong, and I probably am, and that's fine. But I think that there's room for it because, again, next year without Clockwork, there's already 6 stacked games. It's crazy. As a matter of fact, on tomorrow, Fuzzy, not tomorrow. Oh my God. I'm thinking that we're already ready for the weekend. See, this is the problem, folks. I start working on a show days in advance. I thought tomorrow was going to be Monday. Today's only Friday. That's how effed up I am. So yes, I'll send you the notes later. We're going to be talking about all the Call of Duty 7 leaks. There's been a lot of them. And my God, it sounds amazing. But Tuesdays, which I've started working on Tuesday's show, if you could believe it, I have an original topic that Umbra and Jamie and I are going to get into regarding 26, and it's a pretty big conversation. But so for me, I'm not going to reiterate my top picks, but I am going to give you my one pick for the show, and we'll get to Crispy, and then we'll get back to Fuzzy, and then we'll get everyone out of here. For me, there are a lot of games, and there's at least 10 games I could put on this list. I was amazed by a lot of them. But for me, the standout pick is the ROG Ally announcement, because you got to understand, folks, I have the money and the ability to get a rig at any time. And honestly, I have thought about it, folks. I have really, said, yeah, maybe. That is not where I play. Those are not the waters I swim in. I don't want to be bothered with PC. I know people are like, oh, boom, it's more than just, updating your controller. Listen, folks, I'm a plug and play kind of a guy. I want to plug it in and go. PC's not like that. And I know it's gotten a lot better, but I don't want, PC's expensive. You're consistently updating your shit. I don't want a part of that. Not when you're trying to save for your first home. You got to cut corners here, there, and everywhere, right? Well, this ROG Ally that was presented is everything I could want as a non-PC console gamer, right? It's going to give me the power of PC. Games are going to run great on it. They're going to look great on it. I can hook it up to my TV. No problem. No fuss, no muss, no coconuts. And yes, is it going to be expensive like PC gaming? It is. It's probably going to be anywhere between $700 and $800. Hopefully that's as high as it goes. I'm getting it day one, right? I'm there. And what is it going to do for this PC handheld, which I already own a ROG Ally. I already have the original. And I don't use it very much because it's overly PC, and I don't like that. This thing has stripped away everything. It has made it for simpletons like me that just want a UI that acts like and looks like a console. That's what I'm getting. And that is all I freaking need. So for me, that is the pick of the show. Crispy, let's bring you in. What is your pick of the show? We know that you gave it a 9.5. You really liked the show. Fuzzy gave it an 8.5. I gave it a 9. I love how we're all different scores. I saw a lot of 9s. I saw some people with 7.5s, 8.5s. Listen, score it how you want to score it. But what was your pick of the show, Crispy?
Well, I'm going to go a little different. I'm going to say the best reveal was definitely what you said. The Ally X, the way they showed what we're getting. Obviously there's questions, but they decently showed that this is more of what a console gamer would want. So I loved that. My biggest surprise was Grounded 2. My God, yes. Obsidian. You have lives, people. Like you're out here. Okay, Outer Worlds 2. Okay, Avowed. Oh, we got Grounded 2 coming out too. You know what I mean? All in 1 year. Like, best purchase Microsoft ever made. Like there's no question. I mean, they're getting to the point where they are hitting the Insomniac importance to PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? So that's how amazing that was. I was just like, you guys are just cooking and cooking and cooking. And I know it's in preview, but you know there's going to be a good game loop right off rip. We played the originals preview. It was pretty fun. You know what I mean? So I'm probably going to jump into that at some point. And that's another thing. Like, you look at all the games that are going into Game Pass, you're like, dude, when am I going to have time for all of this?
There you go.
So it's crazy. But my game that showed out is definitely Clockwork. I kind of already went into it, but Clockwork it showed out. It's got so many things that I haven't seen in a very long time, all wrapped into one game, and it just looks like it's going to be a killer game with some fun dialogue and a wild setting, and it oozes in Exile. And I mean, I can't wait for that, and I really do hope it is this year, because that one, you know, like maybe during Christmas time I could go and boot that up. So yeah, I mean, definitely it's a good show, and you know, I look forward to seeing what next year brings.
Interestingly enough, that is the one game, or there were a couple of them, that did not have a PlayStation logo. So that is exclusive for now. How long, I don't know, but that is Xbox and PC. And that game, like you were saying, it oozes personality. Like, every character was a character. Like, it's just, and that freaking ugly puppet. Oh my God. Like, oh wow. Yes. I want more of that ugly puppet. So Fuzzy, before we get to the last couple of super chats, and before we get to outros, what was your pick of the show?
My pick of the show definitely stands with like what Crispy was saying with Clockwork, but I also got to give it to Outer Worlds 2. Like, after playing the original one, we wanted a bigger or a bigger story, more spaces or more places to go, more abilities, more weapons. Have the more of the weapons mean stuff, more companions. Yeah, they're definitely going to deliver that on Outer Worlds 2. I like the pros and cons to some of the abilities you get, like staring into the sun somehow, I guess, heals you, but then you get a solar flare whenever you aim down sights, kind of thing. Like, just a wide variety of these like little quirks and stuff that it's like, well, you get some benefit, but then it might have a negative type of deal. Can you outdo the negative? And is there something to counter the negative? And then just the gear, the weapons and the costumes, much like you had in the first one, and the abilities or perks that you get with those. Like, being a looter shooter person, even though it's not a looter shooter, it's more of an RPG, but just that aspect of it, I'm all for it. And trying different things, like the fact that they're leaning more into the RPG aspect as far as your build of your character, I'm all for it. That was the highlight for me. And we get that in October. I think we get 2 other games in October as well.
October stacked, dude. It's stacked. Yes.
So yeah, but that's going to be the one that gets the most playtime, at least for me, come October. But I can't wait. That was the highlight of the show, along with Clockwork. But I'm starting to agree with you guys. I wouldn't be surprised if, we get that at the time frame of like Indiana Jones kind of thing.
It could come out in December, dude. Absolutely, yeah.
So.
That gives Outer Worlds 2 plenty of breathing room, because that's October, right? And again, we're in the middle of July. I mean June. July is around the corner, so it's unlikely. August, unlikely, but August does open up the door for, hey, we got a surprise direct, and this Clockwork, December, because again, it does give enough space without overlapping and eating the lunch of Outer Worlds, which again, they have to figure out when they're going to do the Grounded 2, where that shows up. That sounds like maybe a summer thing. Maybe that's July. Maybe that's August. Yeah. And again, that's preview. Not going on PlayStation 5, because PlayStation 5 doesn't have previews. So it's going to be Xbox and PC. People that played the original are going to love that one. But again, solid 90+ minute on Friday the 13th for Breakfast of the Boom. A big thank you to well over 500 people hanging out with us here. We got a couple of super chats and a channel member chat to get into, and then we're gonna get outros, and we're gonna get you send you on your way because I gotta do a bunch of stuff before I pick up Mrs. Boom later this afternoon. We have Adidas20 who drops a very generous $2 super chat. So he says, salute to all. Salute to you, kind sir. Thank you for always being here. Adidas20, super appreciate that and your generosity. And Jonas the Dad says something really, really nice. This is why we do it, folks. I've been a channel member for well over 18 months. So Jonas, thank you so much for that, as well as the nice compliment. He says, love the awesome, fun, positive gaming talk. Killing it as always. Booming panel. Thanks, guys. If we're not having fun, then what's the point? Hit that like button. Brother, that's very kind of you to say. And yeah, I mean, really, if you're not having fun, I mean, I guess people have fun by being hateful pricks. Maybe, I guess. That's not the life I want to live, and I'm just enjoying playing games. And you know what? I haven't even had a chance to, because it's been Switch 2. Like, I'm just really enjoying it. I mean, again, they're a little light on first party. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really wish they would have had like Metroid launch with it, or Donkey Kong is next month. But there is an F-Zero meets Wipeout type of game. I forget the name of it. Nico actually put me on who's, by the way, shout out to Nico Muller on X. That guy is inciting riots in the most polite way possible. Like, he'll put out a post that basically shows his excitement for this handheld, and the rage monsters just come out. He's doing the work of the gaming god. So thank you to Nico. But he put me onto this game, and it is a racing game. I just don't remember the name of it. It is phenomenal. It's only $15, and if you like Wipeout and you like F-Zero, which what's not to like about those games, you should definitely check it out. But
something Fury, I think.
Yes,
I downloaded that one as well.
Yes. So, something fusions, something or other. It's something like that, folks. If you know what it is, throw it into the chat so that people can go check it out. It's only $15. It's really good. Shout out to Torino Johnson. Shout out to your brother. He says he wants to play There Are No Ghosts at the Grand. That looks, you know what? Honestly, it looks so weird that I have to play it because it's like a cleaning simulator with ghosts. Freaking hell yeah, that looked amazing. It's, again, oozing with personality. Fast Fusion. Alan Johnson, shout out to you, brother. Fast Fusion is what it's called. Thank you, brother. Fast Fusion. It's really good, and it runs excellent on the Switch too. Thank you, Gaming Treble. Fast Fusion, indeed. Go buy that game. It's $15. It's by an indie dev, and it's really good. I very much enjoy it. But Crispy Bum, let's sell the brand, brother. Where can people reach out to you on the socials and potentially get that crispy truth? And what else you got going on?
Crispy Bomb on X, Crispy Bomb 28 Xbox Live. You could find me playing the Gears of War beta this weekend. I will be on there. If you want a little help, you can hit me up. I know there are probably a lot of people that are going to try this, and I do not recommend jumping straight into the multiplayer, but you do have the stands out there that have never played a Gears game, so maybe you have a leg up and played one of them at least. And you can find me showing up here, showing up there, anywhere on BoomStick's channel. I show up, and sometimes I'm Batman, sometimes I'm just a part of the panel, but we'll see you next time.
You're the Punisher, sir, where you just murder folks, as you should. Keeping those receipts. We love to have you, brother. Thank you so much for joining us as always. And of course, whenever you want to show up, you just text me, because we talk on a regular basis outside of podcasting, and we get you in and on. Fuzzy Bovedy, let's sell the brand. But of course, today is special because Fright Night with Ferocious Feet is a horror podcast. And well, today is Friday the 13th. So I would imagine that yourself, you're the missus, and of course, Silent Cypher, and maybe a guest or three are going to be talking up some good horror memories to celebrate Friday the 13th. Sell the brand, brother. Where can people subscribe to her YouTube channel? But more importantly, follow you guys on social media.
I want to start off, as always, love doing this with you and Crispy. This was an awesome way to kind of like end the week and kind of, I guess debrief or talk about at least the showcases and everything of this past week and stuff. So this was fun. Always love interacting with the chat. You guys rock. Thank you so much for checking us out. With Fright Night for Ferocious Feet tonight, because a lot of the panel is on vacation, it's just me and the missus. So we're going to be doing just a small review of the movie called The Menu. So it's a bit of a weird thriller, let's just say, but we'll be discussing that tonight. We didn't have the full panel to talk about any of the Jason Voorhees movies or anything like that. So we'll have to save that for February of 2026, because I think that's the next Friday the 13th. But for those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, I'm on pretty much all but Facebook social media. So just do a search for Fuzzy Belvedere. The links for both Fright Night for Ferocious Feed as well as my YouTube channel are in the chat. So thanks again for everyone showing up today. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. We greatly appreciate it. And have a good weekend. Enjoy some games. Enjoy some horror movies as well. But there's plenty of games. And the way Game Pass has been stacked up, your backlog is going to probably take a beating here. But Alders, I think, comes out today, which that's one of those sci-fi games I was looking forward to on Game Pass.
Looks really interesting and weird
in like a couple of days. But yeah, Alders, I think that's going to be a silent hit. It's already with like an 86 on Metacritic or something like that. So yeah, give that one a try as well. But awesome week gaming. Take care.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Thank you, chat, for hanging out. Of course, thank you for all the generosity through channel membership, through gifted membership, as well as the super chats. Mrs. Boom and I do greatly appreciate it. We are doing our annual Christmas in July. We will have 10 prize packs. 2 are going to be grand prize packs. The other 8 are going to be, and everything's physical, folks. So if you're outside of the U.S. and you win, we'll work with you to get over to you, because obviously, everything is super expensive. But again, the part of the prize pack is going to be community fan fest related, because they made a lot of them. So of course, to celebrate the showcase, you're going to get the media tags, which were really well done, as well as the pull string backpack and a few coins. I'm trying to be able to have at least 3 coins per prize pack. I have Indiana Jones, I have Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and I have a bunch of Outer Worlds 2 that were special edition Outer World 2 for each individual. Everyone that went to the show got this coin. It's rare, and whatever was made. He's not making any more. I'm going to see if I can get some additional coinage. Some South of Midnight, some Avowed. We're going to be working with Ben and Holly to get that done. So I'm trying to at least have 3 coins per prize pack. And these coins are rare. They are one of a kind, and you can only get them thanks to the generosity of Ben Kenobi and the team there, as well as his ridiculous talent. So as we get closer to July, we'll announce the specifics, exactly what's going to be in these prize packs, but it's going to be nice. Mrs. Boone's been working on it. She came up with it the other day, and she told me to announce it. So of course I did, and we'll get into the specifics as we close out this month, because obviously, this is money we got to take out of the pocket. So we're going to see if we can do it right, and it's usually a really fun one. So 10 prizes, 2 grand prize, 8 regular prizes, but each prize is going to be dope. It's going to be fun and very interesting. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me, folks. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So have a great weekend. Enjoy gaming on whatever console you enjoy gaming. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.